All right, Young Ember coming live from Altamont Springs area, Central Florida. I want to first and foremost let everyone know that this is my first podcast in a long time, so I might be a little rusty and a little nervous, but that's all right. It's okay to show your weaknesses sometimes and, learn from them. But we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals this afternoon, and man, do we have a lot to talk about with the conspiracies, with the refs being a part of some major calls, which we're all human, and sometimes luck does come a part of winning games sometimes when it comes down the stretch. But I want to get into the topic of Cleveland Cavaliers first. What an amazing run to even get to the NBA Finals, considering their starting cast is not the greatest lineup if you look at it on paper. But, somehow at home, which they've only lost one game at home, so they're very consistent at home. They build off the energy from the crowd. But if you look at it, playing the young Indiana Pacers team that was, with Oladipo being the number one for the first time, but he was a major part in Orlando as well, which a lot of people tend to forget in his rookie and sophomore year. And he did so much for Orlando, and he makes Indiana an interesting place for a lot of players to go, because he's only getting better and better each year. I got a lot of respect for Oladipo, and back even in his Indiana days, the college. So, playing against that type of caliber, young, athletic teams, a lot of sportscasters don't talk about the underdogs sometimes, being the younger squads out there. And LA is another team that we'll talk about later, but still staying on the topic of Cleveland. They had an amazing run, and then they sweep the number one seed Toronto Raptors, which I think Cleveland and LeBron James is Toronto's kryptonite in the playoffs. Every year they play great in the regular season, but Toronto Raptors don't show up in the playoffs. They never do. And it's unfortunate because, they are fun to watch. It's, a lot of fast breaks, a lot of transition baskets, but, staying back on topic, Cleveland. And then they go play Boston without Kyrie Irving and Hayward. And they have to go to Game 7. That young team again, another young team like Indiana, forced LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to 7 games. It's kind of interesting when you really think of it, because then, they sweep Toronto Raptors, a very veteran team basically. And they have trouble with young talent teams. But you know what? Nevertheless, we need to understand that in the playoffs, anything can happen. We understand that from game 1. Now we're transitioning into the game 1 of the NBA Finals, which Cleveland played very well, but Golden State played better. Especially in overtime, they crushed Cleveland Cavaliers, especially after the whole play with George Hill missing the free throw and J.R. Smith just running the ball out and, thinking that they were ahead. I felt for him at that particular moment, and I also felt for not only just LeBron James, but the Cleveland Cavaliers fan base, because that almost gives LeBron James an out to leave Cleveland. And we'll get into that discussion next, right after I get into the prediction, not necessarily a prediction, but my opinions of Game 2 as well. My goodness, they got crushed, and they were able to double team LeBron. They were able to get him out of his comfort zone, and the other players didn't step up too much. Kevin Love did a little, but you could just see that Steph Curry wanted to make a statement as well in that game because LeBron James broke the record, surpassing Michael Jordan with the points in the NBA Finals in the game. And then, Curry had to throw a little sauce in there. Had to do it. With the 9 threes, surpassing Reggie Miller, one of the greatest to ever shoot the ball, let alone just a three-pointer. A lot of people forget about his mid-range, too, and his ability to drive. But Curry has that same ability, too. I definitely respect his game. I respect the Golden State Warriors. Even before they even had Kevin Durant, now they're just ultimate team. The team to beat. But how many years will that last? And we'll get into that whole another podcast as well. But staying on topic again with the number 2, the second game, like I said, they just got crushed. So tonight it goes back to Cleveland, and it's a must-win for Cleveland. It's a must-win, hands down. If they go down 3-0, it's over. And you have to defend the land. Speaking from a Cleveland fan. The reason why I'm rooting for Cleveland, not only because LeBron James, I'm a LeBron James fan, but I used to live in Ohio, in Cincinnati, close to Cleveland, not too far away. It wasn't close, but I like Ohio. I used to live there. I've learned a lot about life, but anyways, you root for the team that, you've been around closest to. So, never been to California, so I'm not rooting for Golden State. Even though I do respect them, like I said. But game 3, the role players must come and play. You have to feed off the energy of the crowd. Kyle Korver has to come off those screens, make those easy threes. J.R. Smith needs a redemption game, like at least 24 points. And a couple rebounds. And maybe a couple assists. I don't know. He has to really show up. And, of course, Kevin Love. And you already know LeBron James is going to come every game prepared mentally, physically, all attributes to contribute to his team. But everybody else needs to, even on the road, because they're going to have to win in Golden State to even have a chance to win the NBA Finals. So they have to find a way to do what they do at home on the road. That's going to have to be the trick. They have to rely on the momentum, like I stated, being at home for these next 2 games. Got to win them both. Just got to win them both. Now, Cleveland, with the caliber team that they had when they went down 3-1 with Kyrie, yeah, even at that point, we thought that they were done. But now they don't have a Kyrie. They have a George Hill that is still a veteran, very long, can make threes and still drive, but is no Kyrie Irving. So, where do we go from here? Does LeBron James just flop? Give up? Because this is where it gets into discussion of he's a free agent after this year. He's not too happy with the ownership. He's not too happy with, what they've done with letting, Kyrie Irving, even though he wanted to go, but, things didn't go LeBron James's way. And what a lot of people don't understand about LeBron James is, beyond chasing stats, beyond chasing titles, he's a businessman. And he's going to make the best business choice and the best location for his family as well, because maybe they're not too excited about Cleveland anymore. Which, how can you blame them? I used to live in Ohio, and there's not really, a lot to do, and the weather's not so great. So you can't blame them for wanting to go to a more tropical place. But we only got about 5 more minutes, so I'm just going to get to the point. I believe he's going to go to Philly. They have a great squad out in Philly, and I believe that he would be a great centerpiece. But then you can look at Houston with Chris Paul trying to recruit him. But it's up to LeBron, though. We don't know what he's going to choose to do, and it kind of, determines on how this finals plays out. Because I think if he wins the finals, which it's very slim to none chance for them to win, As much as I'm a LeBron James fan, I'm a realist as well. Still going to root for them. But say they do win the NBA Finals in Game 7, that's what I'm hoping. We all are very realistic once we see Golden State play when they're the oiled machine that they can be. But if they do win in Game 7 in Golden State, I think he does stay in Cleveland. But I think they do a very big rebuilding. And I say Kevin Love's gone. J.R. Smith's gone. I think Kyle stays. Green goes. George Hills goes. And that's where I leave it at that. But they have to win the NBA Finals. If not, LeBron James is gone. And he's either going to go to Philly or he's going to go to Houston. Or wishful thinking, the Atlanta Magic. Please come to the Atlanta Magic, LeBron James. We got Universal. We got Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay. Kids love that. I'm just joking. I know you ain't even listening to this, but you never will. But anyways, because I'm a true Magic fan at heart. That's why you see the symbol on the cover, old school Magic symbol. 1989, established exactly with the Magic. And I was born in Orlando. Had to throw that out there. But I only got about 3 more minutes, so I just want to thank you for just listening this long. I know that I've been rumbling, but a lot of great information, about the NBA Finals, the playoffs in general. They've been okay for me. My opinion of the whole playoffs is just there's been a lot of luck, and I don't like that necessarily. I like to see a team really earn it, and I really believe Houston should be in there. Cleveland really earned their way because they had two series that went to Game 7 and they had that pressure. But, I'm not saying Golden State doesn't deserve it because they obviously do. They're a great team. But it would have been nice to see some new blood in there and see Houston and Harden, and especially with Chris Paul getting so up in his years, being the veteran that he is. Maybe that's why he's really trying to recruit LeBron, because they're both getting up there in that age, and Chris Paul needs a title. He ain't got one. And LeBron's stuck on 3, so in order for him to get his 4th, he needs to go do what he did in Miami and join a team that will have 2 other stars join him. And they have to play, and not only just those 2 good players, they have to have great role players as well. Like down in Miami, they had so many great role players. The Birdman, I'm just going to throw him out there. He brought the energy. And when it comes to winning titles, you have to have that player, and actually, truthfully, you have to have like 3 or 4 players that bring that energy, that leadership on top of your 3 leaders and your all-stars. So, with that being said, I got another minute on this podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening, and there will be a lot more podcasts to come. There's sports, faith, and whatever I want to come up with, So I appreciate you listening. This is Young Ember from the Altamont area, Central Florida, really, Maitland, same area. This is Young Ember checking out. NBA Finals on tonight. Check your local listings. ABC, I'm not sponsored by nobody. This is self-made, so check out my freestyles as well. I got a lot of great songs on there as well. Mixtape coming up on number 6 already, and albums coming December. Young Ember.